From the one and only, this is a Local 10 News Update, sponsored by FHIA, Florida Home Improvement Associates.
Good afternoon, South Florida. I'm Christy Kruger. Here's a look at some of the stories making news on this Tuesday. A UPS driver killed in a police shootout last week will be laid to rest later today. A viewing was held last night for 27-year-old Frank Ordonez at the Vior Funeral Home, which is in Miami. Hundreds of people, including many UPS employees and even FedEx workers, all showed up to that viewing to pay their respects. Ordonez was killed last week after two men hijacked his UPS truck, taking him hostage. Another innocent bystander, Richard Cutshaw, as well as those two robbers, were also killed during that shootout. Meantime, an Uber driver says he was nearly kidnapped by a passenger during Art Basel. This happened in Wynwood when Wilfred Moreno says he was responding to a ride request. Two men entered his vehicle trying to steal a ride. The suspect, Alexis Hurtado, allegedly told him he had a gun and forced him to keep driving. He was able to escape, though, and Hurtado was arrested. And a man who brutally beat his own roommate has now learned his fate in court. Byron Mitchell has been sentenced now to life in prison. He did confess to beating Danielle Jones, who he met through Craigslist 2 days after moving in with her in 2016. Jones spent 24 days in a coma with a broken skull and a bruised brain.
Listen to Local 10's podcast, The Florida Files, wherever you are, whenever you want. Just say, Alexa, play the Florida Files podcast.
Getting the latest episode of Florida Files. Here it is from TuneIn.
Previously on the Florida Files.
Or just ask Siri, I want to hear the latest Florida Files podcast.
Here's the newest episode of the Florida Files.
Get the Florida Files on Alexa, Google Home, or Apple devices just by saying play the Florida Files podcast. The Florida Files from the one and only Local 10.
And first on 10, 3 vandals breaking into a South Florida church, and it was caught on camera. Surveillance video shows them creeping into the Corpus Christi Catholic Church on Northwest 32nd Street in Miami. Once they got there, they trashed the place, leaving just vulgar messages on windows and the fridge. They didn't steal anything, but they did cause thousands of dollars in damages. If you know anything about who those vandals could be, call police. And as breaking news happens, we have you covered on air and online. Head to local10.com for more local news coverage and updates all day long.